Good morning and welcome to the Professional Pastors. This is your host, Ms. Diane Winbush, on the broadcast with you today, and so we thank you for tuning in with us. And so don't forget about our upcoming event for Mother's Day that will be held on Friday, and it's going to be starting at 10 o'clock, and it's a Mother's and Daughter's Day brunch, and it's located at 1560 North Hollywood Street, and that's Memphis, Tennessee, zip code 38108. And so come out. We're going to have some awesome speakers that's going to be lined up, and then we also have some door prizes and some goodie bags to give away for the attendance. So keep that in mind, and we thank you for for your attendance and registration. So for all upcoming events, you can just go to our website at www.stpetersburgglobalministries.org. So today, we have an interesting guest that is on the podcast with us today, and her name is Ms. Lauren Shuffle. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry, but I'm going to let her tell you in a little bit, I'm sorry. And so we're going to have her on the show today, and we're excited because a lot of times we get confused in either walk, whether it's a business setting or whether it's a Christian setting. Sometimes individuals don't like to admit some things about, maybe mental distress, and so sometimes we have to reach out for counseling, we have to reach out for encouragement, and we have to reach out for affirmation. So that's what she's here for. She's going to come in and she's going to drive us through this podcast on today, and I am excited to hear from her. So welcome to the show and good morning.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Perfect. And so tell us a little bit about you.
Great. Well, so I am a counselor. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I own a group counseling practice in Northbrook called Inspire Counseling Center. And I grew up in a Christian home. My parents' faith was really important to them, and I was really lucky. I went to a private Christian school until high school, and then I went to public schools. I went to a university and studied psychology. I met my husband there, and since then we've had a couple kids, and I live in my community. But I really I worked in another job for a number of years and really felt compelled to create something to inspire people in my community to live their best life. And so I opened up the counseling center that I have, and we have some great therapists and stuff. But it's really, I've spoken into the community, and I do a lot of writing and different things. I've even done a TEDx talk, all in the vein of just trying to help people see the connection of living their life to the fullest. If I had to kind of base all of what I do is kind of based on, like I would say, John 10:10, which says, the thief comes to destroy and kill, but I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And so I see the work that we do as really supportive and in tandem with Christ's mission of having people live abundant, awesome, great lives.
That is awesome, because many times we don't see the other part of that scripture about I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly, because sometimes the depressions of what we're going through, sometimes women go through issues after having children, and then sometimes if they're not still getting that affirmation from their husband after they have given birth, and things like that, they can go into a depression crisis. And so that is so wonderful that this is a great passion of yours to be able to reach out to other individuals and be able to help catapult them through to the next challenge or to the next, level. So tell us a little bit about your counseling service. And so this is in terms of what does the client, once they come in and they said, I need some help or what have you and stuff. So what are some of the steps, not revealing all of your, professional techniques, but what are some of the steps that they can be able to ascertain from what you have to offer for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, so, we see people of all ages here, from children. We have child specialists all to adults, couples, all the way to elderly. They're struggling with different things. And when we come in, the first session we do a lot of paperwork. We'll ask questions, get to know. And then the second session we do this really cool goal setting. And what we do is we try to connect what your head wants and what your heart wants. And then from there, we kind of build our goals around what people need. And I say to people, like especially new clients, I say, imagine you're a bird and we're a nest. And we're here for you to rest your feathers and rest and find comfort and get the encouragement or the courage that you need. And then you fly away and you go do your thing. And if you need us, you can come back when you need to. But it's not, we try not to make it too big of a commitment or too, this is a lifetime thing. This is just for you. For each client is different. And one of the things I think that really what we try to do at Inspire is to say that, we look at all the clinical symptoms of like depression or anxiety or relationship issues, anything. We look at those things as things that are just holding you back from being your best self, holding you back from your abundant life. And so we focus on those and we use some clinical tools to help with those things, but really our goal is to move past that and to inspire you to live a better life. We want every person that walks out of our office to walk out a better person, walk out feeling better and doing better in the world, doing better for others and giving and being a bright light out into the world. So it's not just, if you come in and you're depressed, we'll help you, but we won't just focus on the depression because sometimes you can almost get kind of stuck doing that. And so we will focus on it, clean it up, but then we will our goal is to make you feel excited, get the spark back, and feel the joy and the love and the light back inside of you that's already there, but just kind of get the clutter out of the way so you can go be your, awesome self.
Okay, wonderful. And so there are some options, I guess options would be the right term. So there are some cases where the counseling, some clients may extend longer. It may be short-term and long-term.
Sure.
Clients, okay. And so, and that's good because we don't want to, if they're already coming in for, I would think that if they're already coming in and they are looking for help and assistance, of course, the services wouldn't be there to push them down further. So I guess that does make sense, not to put them in a more depressive type of setting, but to come in and give them excitement and stir them up so they can go out and, like you said, fly as a bird.
Totally.
Because I have spoken with some people that way. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have had some people to speak with me, and of course, I think all of us may face some sort of depression, some sort of time, and like when they get through, it's just like you stated, you be just as you're free as a bird, and it's like you're on cloud 18 if we can get to that number.
Totally.
But encouragement is very, very strong and powerful. So, we commend you for the services that you offer. I know a lot of people, we commend this person for the purple purple heart and things like that. But when it comes down to counseling, sometimes that's easy, and sometimes it depending on the strategies that the counselor or the psychologist or psychiatrist has to offer and things. That depends on, the person as well as the person that is given the services. So we commend you greatly. My hat is off to you for that, because that can be a challenge, So tell us what compels you to be able to launch, because I know everybody has a different niche. Different people have different, some people have different passions or what drove them, or it may have been a family member or a coworker or what have you. So what compels you to be able to launch this?
I think it's such a great question, and it's really several things for me. I was working in one of the top PR firms, like advertising, public relations, when I first graduated school, and I loved it, and I loved the professionals I was working with. But then I noticed in that job that one of the things I was best at was sort of counseling people, working with clients, working with the team, working with, different people in their, managing different kinds of problems that happen in the business or events. And so it was partly that. It was partly that, growing up, my dad was a counselor, and he's an ordained minister as well, and we're very similar. And so when I was growing up, people would say, "Oh, you're going to be a therapist." And I was like, "No way. I am not going to do that." But as I got older, I really felt the calling in my heart, and I felt that it was really where my talents lied. And so I switched careers and went back to school and really became passionate about counseling. In the meantime, too, in my adult life while I was doing my other career, I was very anxious and would face depression, too, and I saw my own therapist who worked such wonders in my heart. And I remember the first time I went to see her, when I left, I said, I felt like I lost 10 pounds. It just felt lighter. I felt bright. I felt like a spring in my step. And it doesn't always work instantly, and certainly I spent a number of years working through things for myself. But when I saw what it could do for me, and I saw that I had a skill set and I could potentially be okay at it, I thought, I'm going to do this. And so it's been a wonderful experience for me. On my best days and on my hard days, I feel, discouraged just like everybody else. But I see the changes that happen, and I think that's really what compelled me. So it's kind of like a several factor thing, and now I'm in the industry working very close to my dad. We share a building, and so it's kind of funny that we are I swore I'd never follow in his footsteps, and now I'm very proud to follow in his footsteps and be working near his practice.
Wow, that is awesome, because he can be able to teach the flock and you can be able to counsel the flock. That's wonderful.
Yep, totally. It's so true.
Ooh, yeah. I love it. And so explain to us or share with us how rewarding are your services for your clients. And so the reason why I asked that question is because for the listeners on both of our podcasts, whether it's business or whether it's Christian, we try to give the listeners some testimonial, I guess if I could use that word, testimonial,
sure. Yeah.
Ways of how, they can be able to triumph over the services if they come to your services. Guess what? This is how this testimony went for them coming to Lauren. And so maybe I want to jump on board and what have you. So that's the reason why we asked that question, is to be able to give the listeners a little bit more in depth of how the existing clients are already relating to your product and brand. And so how rewarding has this been for your clients?
I would say the way that I say it is like this, is that counseling is kind of like renovating your house or renovating a house. It's totally, no matter what, at the end of the day, after you renovate a house, you're like, oh, it looks so nice and new and fresh and it's great. When it's rewarding depends on the state the house that is in. So if you have a brand new house and you just want to paint your kitchen cabinets, well, we can do that real fast. And you know what? It's going to look great, I can assure you, and it'll not be too messy. But if there's a home that's, been the structure is compromised and the walls are falling off and the floors are rotted, we have to gut the whole thing. It takes longer, but the payoff is bigger. So it's more of a wow factor of when it's finished. And so sometimes when we get into this work, I tell people, it's like we're going to demo your kitchen right now. So we're going to take out the cabinets and the old cabinet countertops and the sink. And for a while, you're going to be like, wait a minute, this seems worse. I have no kitchen, and I had a kitchen before. It wasn't great, but now I've got no sink. But we're building something new, and when the new cabinets come in and when the new countertops in, you're going to be like, oh, this is so much better. So we see people of all different degrees, but I'll tell you, I think it's like the more you have something that you wrestle with, the better it feels when you get over the hump. And we see people all the time. I've had clients, they constantly send me messages and say how free they feel, like they feel confident to stand up. Sometimes it's smaller things, like in a marriage. They're able to ask for what they want or be more connected and feel closer to their partner, or they're able to set boundaries with a pesky in-law that has taken over their life. Or in business, I've helped people get major promotions by being assertive and asking for them and dealing with the interpersonal relationships with bosses that maybe are challenging and how to get behind it instead of fight it. And I've seen major monetary rewards. I've seen relationship rewards. I've seen marriages saved that were on the brink of divorce and then completely turned around. And I've seen families changed. I've seen they smile. They're like excited. And those are the best days. But there are days when it feels like nothing's happening. And I always say, change happens slowly, and most of the time it's invisible. It's like a seed that's growing in the ground before it sprouts. A lot of time that seed, you water it, you wait, you look, and it doesn't look like anything's happening, and then all of a sudden a sprout comes out of the ground and you have a 5-foot-tall thing, but you have to be patient and trust the process even when you can't see it. And so sometimes things happen right away. Like the first time I went to my therapist, I felt better that very first visit. And we get feedback from people that say that. They just instantly feel like a release. And then you have to keep doing the work and trust for a little bit, not your whole life, but just there has to be a little bit of work put to it to really see those results. But I tell you what, it is so rewarding. I don't know if there's anything that I could think of in my life that would be as rewarding as seeing someone freed from some of these shackles that hold them back. And I felt it personally too. So I think it's just, but I always say that with the asterisk that it's not necessarily instant. Hopefully it can be a little bit, but it's kind of trusting and being patient and continuing to work. But then, boy, when that new kitchen's in, it looks great and it feels great, and you feel proud of yourself and you feel a reward from it.
That is awesome. That is awesome, especially when you can be able to receive great results, from some challenges that individuals that may be facing on a daily basis. And so just like you said, it's just like a renovation. You perhaps have to come in and have to gut out a lot of things in order for you to be able to become free. And that's something that, because the mind is really a challenging, it's a challenging area for a lot of individuals, no matter what their income status may be, no matter what their demographics may be. It seems like the mental state is more challenging in the 21st century, I would say, more than ever. And so if we get a hold of some things of our mind, and then it comes with, having someone to be able to talk to. And that's the reason why this actual podcast interested me, because sometimes people don't know who to reach out to. They don't know who to go to, who to turn to, because sometimes the individuals are private. Sometimes their information that they want to share, it's so, sensitive. It's difficult for them to be able to share and open up with other people. And so that's the reason why I was glad that you were a part with us today to be able to come in and combat some of these issues that individuals are kind of hard to open up to. And I sympathize with a lot of individuals. I think all of us face some sort of depression on a level, but the main thing is that just getting free from it. So some people are not able to get free because of the the self-esteem issue. And so that's the reason why we're here today. We're here to combat this topic so individuals can be able to come in, and that's going to be another question that I wanted to ask, and I'm going to tuck that in before I ask these other additional questions, but I'm going to try to remember that one. But and so let's shift the segment to in regards of depression, because we want to give to the listeners as to why some things happen. Of course, we have talked about the high points of, counseling, and about the high points of, reconstructing the home, which is your mental state and the issues that we face. But we want to go a little bit deeper to find out what are some of the components of depression. So let me just interject right there. Some individuals that I have been around in an environment, some people don't even, one that I have saw is that they like to sit in the house with the curtains closed. And I'm like, wait a minute, something is wrong right here. The curtains are closed and the whole house is dark. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that in there to kind of jumpstart it a little bit. So share with us some of the components that may contribute to depression.
Sure. Well, there's so many things, and depression is such a wide thing, and, there's so many things that can contribute to it, whether it's situations. I mean, sometimes you lose a child, or you lose a spouse, or you lose a parent, lose a job, something goes wrong, and the depression with that is somewhat situational, and it's sort of normal. But then there's the depression, and it can be situational, it can be mental, of just the wiring in your brain, and it can also be sometimes people get stuck there. So some of it, sometimes we feel depressed, we feel down because something really sad happens, and that's normal and okay. But it's when people get kind of stuck or chronically stuck in there that we see that there really becomes a problem. And one of the things the way that I describe depression to my clients is it's like mold. If you were to go in your refrigerator and you see some cheese with mold growing on it, and you're like, ooh, that's bad. That's gross. I don't like that. And what you do is you close the refrigerator door and don't open it for a month and hope that it's better in a month. And you open your fridge. We all know what's going to happen. Mold loves to grow in the dark. It breeds in the dark. It loves to be alone. And when mold and when depression takes root in your heart, it wants to isolate you. It wants you to be alone. It does not want light or bright. But we know that with mold, if we find it in our fridge or we find it somewhere, we expose to light, we clean it out, we dry it out, and we air it out, and we bring it out we don't keep it in the dark. We don't pretend it's not there. And by doing that, the mold is then cleaned up. And so it's a very simple term, and I know depression is a very, very deep topic and very serious. But I think what I say that to is encourage people to say, if you feel that, bring it into the light. Tell somebody. Talk to somebody. Maybe if it's not a professional therapist, it doesn't have to be. It could be just somebody you trust, a family member, someone in your church, a friend or something. Bringing it into the light loses the power it has over you. Johann Hari, he wrote a book called Lost Connections, and it's interesting. He's not a Christian, but he in himself wrote about he did all this research on depression and said that he believes that the root of depression is lost connections with people. And one of the things he says is that prayer and meditation are incredibly powerful tools to connect. We need to be connected. And so it's like depression, when it takes root, it wants you to isolate. It wants you to pull those curtains closed in your house. It wants you to stay alone because then it can breed and can grow. But what we ultimately need is to connect. We need to bring ourselves out into the light. We need to bring our problems out into the light. And it's scary and it takes a lot of courage, but that is how to clean it out. It's not pleasant to clean mold, but it's the only option you have. And with depression, it's the same. It's like we need to connect to God, to a higher being. We need to connect to ourselves. We need to connect to people. We're meant to be in relationship with people. And so that's one of the things that we do. It's really help people find something that makes sense. You don't want to do radically different things, but small steps to connect, small steps to feel more love and meaning in their life.
So another question, and I know that you shared with us about in regards to, you have a live venue or what have you, where individuals can be able to come in and walk into your services, with with your jointly with your father. And so, are there any services that you have to offer for the listeners or anybody else that's going to be future listeners to the podcast on a virtual type of setting? Is it just basically where they have to come to your office, or is it where they can be able to connect with you online?
Yeah, no, we have a couple of things. One is we are able to do HIPAA compliant, which means it's secure and safe. We have a medical kind of version of Skype, if you will. So we're able to connect with people virtually and clients all around. But we also have free resources on Instagram, and we have I wrote an ebook called Inspire Your Life, which is free. You can download it on our website, inspirecounselingcenter.com. And we have a Facebook group, too, where what we do is we post beautiful things to inspire people, to connect people, to share about what we're doing and share about just different ideas and research and little tidbits to get people through their day. Maybe they don't need a therapist necessarily, but they might need a little inspiration on a daily basis. And so those are things we try to make available to anybody for free, to help in any way we can. And then certainly if some people do need counseling services, I have a number of a big community, too, where I could help find somebody locally for them if they wanted that. And we have services where we could do Skype and kind of a Skype version of a remote counseling session, too. So we kind of have a lot of different things free, and we're in network with 3 different major insurance companies, too, because we really try to make it as affordable as possible for people to get counseling. We don't want that to get in the way of them getting their help.
Wow, that is so awesome. That is so awesome. And so we're also going to be sharing this on hopefully if the producers can get this together. We're going to see if we can be able to share this on our Facebook page as well, because this is very, very important. And even though we see the gray side of it, and then we see the sunshine side of it, but I think it is very, very important for individuals to be able to reach out to someone, and then also they can be able to know that there is someone that they can be able to reach out to be able to share some things, some of their personal issues with. Sometimes you can vent out on social platforms and things like that, but that's not going to be able to resolve the issue because, people that are on social platforms, they're just there for just a temporary status. But, having someone to be able to coach you, get professional help up under a conservative fee, you can't beat that. So for the last couple of questions. So what are the long-term goals that you would like to see for your counseling services that you have to offer for individuals? What is something that you would like to be able to accomplish, say 5 or 6 years down the road? Where would you like to see your platform being able to grow, being able to expand a little bit further, even for consumers?
One of my long-term goal for clients when they come in is that they are doing good out in the world, that they're adding light and love and laughter, they're smiling at people, they're making the world just a little bit of a better place. And I really do think that the world, it changes, and that's really what I'm about, is I inspire my staff, I inspire my clients, and my staff is amazing in inspiring their clients. We're really about trying to change the world one person at a time. And that's really, I believe, how change happens. It happens with small little changes. And you smile at somebody, you wave them along, even when you're driving. You let them take their turn and you just smile and give a wave. You set a ripple out into the world. It's like and you can set a ripple the other way if you give a different kind of wave and don't let them go. Different kind of finger, But when you feel good and you feel happy, you have that to give to other people. And it might just be a kind word. It might just be a simple thing. But when you do that, it makes another person feel happy, and it sets a ripple out into the world, and it makes everything a little bit better. Makes the next person pick up a piece of trash, and they don't see it, but someone else notices them, and they feel a smile, or they feel like they want to compelled to do something good. It's just, and there's so many people in the world that are doing it, which is amazing, but I just want to do my part in that and help in small ways that I can, and have the people I touch help in small ways that they can. So I would say that's really just the end goal, is to keep growing the business, keep growing, and so we can impact more people and hopefully, write more books and write more stuff and be out there more to just impact people and give them more platforms and maybe aren't going to do counseling. So that's really the end game for me, that when I put my head on my pillow at the end of my life, that I feel that I've done a little something to make the world happier and better and brighter.
Perfect. So I know the listeners can be able to agree with me, and of course when we share this on these other digital media platforms, they can be able to listen. I mean, they can be able to agree with me as well. I can sit here and listen to you all day because you have the type of voice to be able to make people comfortable, and I think this is your calling. This is your passion of what has been given to you on the inspirational sector, because you have the type of voice where you are a listener, because sometimes everybody is not like that. Some people hold positions and they be ready to go to the next one, but it seems like you have the type of attitude where you're actually concerned about the individual and making sure that they receive the type of results that your services have to offer. And so that's very, very important when people come out to a psychologist, to a psychiatrist, to an individual that gives them affirmations or inspiration and what have you. That is important, that they can be able to come to someone that can be able to feel them. They sit down and take the opportunity to be able to wait to whatever the person has to, say, or whatever they have to spill out. That is very, very important of being a good listener. So the last question and the final question will be is, I know that you shared some different tools and resources with us on today, and so any additional things that you would like to share, any social media platforms, or any books that you have already published prior to the ebook that you have written, or any websites that you would like to share, or how they can be able to follow you, you can do that at this time.
Sure. No, I would say that if anyone wants to follow us, all of it kind of goes to inspirecounselingcenter.com. You can find our Facebook group, our Instagram group, and download the ebook. And when you download the ebook, you also are able to follow our newsletter, where we send out just different tips, different ideas, different blogs. We have a blog, too, where our different therapists write on different topics on how to help, a variety of things, from your kids sleeping to depression to anxiety to parenting. So really anything. We have all those kind of different platforms. So I would just say, if you go to inspirecounselingcenter.com, you can find all of that stuff. It's all there, and hopefully it's a value add to anybody who goes there. We try to make it beautiful and bright and light, just as we are trying to do in the world too. So, and it's so sweet of you to have me be part of this. I really think what you're doing is important in spreading good ideas out in the world and making them available to people wherever they are. I think that's so awesome. So thank you for this opportunity to talk.
And thank you so much for being our guest today. And, of course, before we, leave the podcast, I would love to say to you to give your father, the pastor, our best regards, and ask him to be, praying for us, too. Other individuals that are trying to share the good word, through podcast, or whether it's through the pulpit, or whether it's through, television. That is very important. So when you have a man of God that's up there and he's, before people and what have you, that's an awesome tools for him to, speak life over other individuals. And so please give him our best regards. And we thank you so much for taking the opportunity for being our guest guest on today. And, of course, we're going to see if we can try to get you back before probably before October, because this is very interesting. And so we want to be able to see if we can be able to bring you back. I'm going to put a star on the calendar to remind myself to see if that's going to be something that's available for you, because around this, and the reason why I say that, because October is leading up to like holidays, and so a lot of individuals kind of get a little, some people a lot of people be up and some people be down. Some people be down because they can't have all that they need for this, that, and the other, and some people be way up there and things like that. And so I think around that time, that's also good to be able to come in on the podcast and be able to give individuals a boost. So I'm going to make sure to see if I can be able to scram a date in there for you and find a date for you in the month of October to see if that would be something that you'll be willing to do, to come back on the podcast and be able to come in and share with the listeners in regards like that, because they need to be empowered. Some people go through financial challenges around that time of the season because it's almost time for the season to come up. Some individuals haven't gotten their bonuses. It'd be a lot of things that be going on that can just push people into depression. And so we would love to be able to have you back as our guest on the show, to be able to talk with them and be able to share how you could be able to, how you would be able to just catapult them in that season, to be able, for them to be able to push through some things. And so, that is very, very important. And so I'm going to make sure that I also bring that up at the Mother and Daughter's Day brunch that we're having this week on Friday, because that's important, so they can be able to get some tools and resources as well from your sites, and then they can perhaps maybe come on and perhaps maybe be a paid client as for themselves. We just want people to know that there is help and assistance out there, as such as your services. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to suffer alone. We don't, people don't have to go through these things alone. And so that's the reason why we wanted to see if we can bring you back.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would love that. It would be great.
Okay, perfect. And so, everyone, don't forget about the upcoming event that's on May the 10th, and that's going to be at the Hollywood Community Center. And then we also have another Empowered event that's going to be on June the 28th, and I'll give you more details about that. Or either you can just go to our website at www.stpetersburgglobalministries.org. And so we thank you so much, Lauren, for being our guest on the show today. And we know that the listeners have taken something away that have going to be able to impact their day and impact their life. So until next time, we'll see you again. Thank you so much.
Good. Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Okay.